Welcome in to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue. I'm Landon. Welcome to this Friday edition of the show, fresh off of SEC Media Days. Wednesday was a fun day, man. Getting to go to Atlanta. Well, getting to go to Atlanta is never like a privilege to me, especially driving in Atlanta traffic is just a bummer. But getting the opportunity to cover Mississippi State at SEC Media Days for this podcast is really cool. And so I've mentioned a few times, but thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks to MPW Digital for taking us on because of you guys, we got that opportunity and got to ask Coach Lebby some really good questions to kind of get a viewpoint of what this season might look like. Got to talk to Blake Shapen, Isaac Smith, Brendan Thompson, and I will say this about Isaac Smith. I said it on the show a couple days ago. Unbelievable ambassador for Mississippi State, and he's going to go pro in more than football. Just really, really outstanding young guy. I love talking to him. He just, how you meet some people in life, and you're like, that person gets it. Isaac Smith gets it, and he was just so impressive. And so, anyway, today we're going to be talking about we talked last week about the best case scenario for Mississippi State. So we walked over Mississippi State's schedule. And from there, kind of looked at, okay, well, what if we had to pick game by game? What's the best case scenario? I said the best case scenario for State this upcoming year is 6-6. I think that would be the best case scenario with a couple of upset SEC wins. I think I've mentioned Tennessee being one of them. Now, today is an unfortunate day because today is the worst case scenario. And I asked on Twitter, X, whatever, what the worst case scenario would be, and had the schedule there and got a ton of answers. Some of them surprised me. I mean, it's the worst case scenario. So obviously 0-12 is like literally the worst case scenario, but like, was State really going to lose to Alcorn State? And also I think some people didn't realize we did the series last week. So I think they thought I might just be asking the question just to bring up, hey, what's something negative to talk about? That's not the case. So we're going to go over that. We're going to go over some of the answers as well. That we got in some of the responses on X as well. So we're going to dive into that. We'll finish with looking at the SEC media from SEC Media Days, voting Mississippi State last at Media Days. I will mention I got a vote this year. I did not vote Mississippi State last. I'll wait till the end of the show to say where I did vote them, but they were not voted last. That's all you really need to know. That's important. But hey, before we dive on into it, I want to let you know that this episode and every episode of My Dogs Pod is brought to you by our presenting sponsors, Heath Riles Barbecue. And Heath, man, he's so amazing, man. He's the 2025 Memphis and May Grand Champion this past May. He's an 81-time Grand Champion. It's Heath Riles. His products are trusted by so many pit masters and just backyard cooks like me. And you can find his products at over 15,000 retailers nationwide. But here's the deal. I'll save you some cash. Go to HeathRilesBarbecue.com, look at his incredible selection, and enter DAWGS10 at checkout, DAWGS10 at checkout, get 10% off. If you've never tried Heath's products, it's worth it. I have lemon pepper buffalo that I cannot wait to try on some wings tomorrow. It's worth it, man. If you're going to cook something, you want to let's just be honest here. Can we not be humble for a second? We want to impress the people that come over that we cook for. We just do. And Heath Riles helps out with that. His sauces, his marinades, and his seasonings help out with that all day long. So give Heath a shot, and we thank him for being the presenting sponsor. Also want to thank our caffeine sponsor that keeps us going all the time, Arpa's Coffee Bar in the heart of the Cotton District. Arpa's, man, they understand whether it's food or drinks, it's best enjoyed in the company of friends and loved ones. And if you go to the Cotton District, the best part of Starkville, you got to go to Arpa's, man. So underrated. Such a wonderful place. Venezuelan coffee shop, Venezuelan food. Jose and his family would love to take care of you. A local business owner, a great family. And here's the deal. We'll save you some more money, 15% off. Whenever you mention that, hey, you love the My Dogs Pod 15% off discount, they'll give it to you right then and there, today, tomorrow, the next day. It is important that you go by there so you can realize, when you don't want to be like the last person in on a joke. Don't be the last person in on Arpa's, man. It's so good. Also, we want to let you know that, a lot of people are talking about Jeff Lebby and the expectations and, can he overachieve this season? I'll tell you what, if he does overachieve, if he does get a contract extension, he's going to get a bump in pay. And I got to be honest with you, man, he might even end up becoming rich. But what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Edward Jones financial advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843, and together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. All right, so we're going to bring up, if you're watching on YouTube, we are going to bring up the schedule for Mississippi State so that we can look at it together at the same time. I mentioned it, kind of joke about it. We got to figure out the camera situation here. There it is. All right, so one of the things we always joke about is that the unfortunate part of watching on YouTube is you have to see my face, and I'm sorry for that. There's nothing I can do. The good news is you can also see some different things we have pulled up. So we have if you're not watching on YouTube, we have the schedule pulled up on our screen right now. And let's go over the worst case scenarios. Now, before we do that, we are I want to read through some of the comments from today. Some of the comments from what people said about this question on what's the worst case scenario for Mississippi State. And it's funny, the tweet was viewed over 11,000 times. There's 45 responses, and there's some tough ones. So Drew Coleman mentioned the worst case scenario would be 1-11. If they did that, he said the only win would be Alcorn State. He did mention that he does think there's a huge upside this year, that they could pull off a couple of wins. The ceiling is 6-6, so he agrees with me there. Mr. Fred NetMet896 said 1-11. I would say NIU would be a lock, but they beat Notre Dame last year. That's so true. Greg Griffith, I thought had a wonderful response. He said, I was there for the Tulane game last year. Worst case scenario is 0-12. That's so true. Eric Lee, 3-9. My prediction is 5-7. I'm just reading through a couple more of these. Several 1-11s. Samson Buck said worst case scenario is 3-9/0-8, because if that happens, we're looking for new coaches. That's very true. And then let's see. Let's read one more here. Several 2-8 or 2-10, 9 or 3-9. And then we have a couple of 4-8s that are there on the schedule. And then Jeffrey Estes says 2-10 is the worst, 4-8 is the best. So there it is. Now, let's go over why they might think that. So I think number one out of the gate, I think the worst case scenario, we're going to go game by game, then we'll look at the big picture. I think it is very possible that Mississippi State loses this game against Southern Miss. I was talking to Andrew Abity, who's a beat writer for Southern Miss, and just talking about all the different players that Charles Huff has brought in and the juice he's brought into that program. Mississippi State could absolutely lose this game. So in my scenario, State loses against Southern Miss in Hattiesburg, which would be a dreadful start to the year, and then obviously drops against Arizona State. I don't see a scenario where Mississippi State can possibly lose to Alcorn State. I mean, I'll knock on wood right now, but I don't see that being possible just because of the talent gap. So I'll say there, State's 1-2. Northern Illinois, I know. This seems like it should be half of me wants to say like that's a loss, but the thing is, if State loses that game, they're not going to win another game. Like if State somehow ends up losing against Northern Illinois, they will go 1-11 with their only win being over Alcorn State. That being said, I think even in the worst case scenario, Northern Illinois loses that game. Like I got the privilege of talking to Coach Hammock, the head coach for Northern Illinois, a couple weeks ago on the show, and he's got me fired up, man. I like Northern Illinois, especially him and his program. Like I really, really like him. I understand players wanting to play for him. I just think with the amount of talent that Mississippi State got this offseason, even my worst case scenario, I think they beat Northern Illinois. So 2-2. But unfortunately, that's as good as it's going to get. If you look down the barrel at all these SEC games, if we're going with our worst case scenario, guys, I hate to tell you this, but it's 2-10 again. I think State could win against Alcorn State, and they could win against Northern Illinois. But if your worst case scenario, they go 0-8 again in the SEC, and I'm just going to be honest with you, if you go 0-8 in the SEC 2 years in a row, as much as I like Jeff Lebby, as much as I like his offense, I think it'd be lights out for him. You just can't do it. At this day and age, you can't do it anymore. Jackie Sherrill had several years where they just kind of let it go and let it happen. You can't do that at this time with the amount of money people are paying. Not only like to come to the game, but also the amount that was given to NIL, the amount the donors are giving for the lights. Like there's a lot that goes into it for 2-10 just to be absolutely inexcusable for someone to keep their job 2 years in a row. Because at that point you'd be 4-20 in 2 years, and Jeff Lebby would probably be calling plays for Dan Lanning at that point. So I think 2-10 is the floor. I don't 1-11 is tough, but Northern Illinois, even though they pulled off the upset last year, was kind of inconsistent throughout the rest of the years. That's the only reason I say, like, I even in my worst case scenario, I don't see Mississippi State losing to them. But boy, oh boy, have I been wrong before. Hashtag Maine 2004. So I was talking to my brother about that, like thinking, man, you remember when that happened? And you never like realize how old you are. I'm not that old, but like my brother was like, actually, I don't remember that because I wasn't born yet. I was born later in that year, in December of 2004. So that game happened in September of 2004. And I thought, man, guess it's almost over for me. Almost 30 years old. I guess the lights are about to turn off. But in that scenario, 2-10, Jeff Lebby, I think would be gone. They'd be moving on to the next realm. Now, that is the worst case scenario, and so that's why it's so low, because the ceiling was so high. I mean, 6-6 would be unbelievable. 2-10 would be unbelievable in the opposite way. I just don't see it happening, and I'm not. I think the prediction's somewhere there in the middle. If 6-6 is the best case scenario, 2-10 is the worst. Like if State goes 4-8, I guess it's an improvement. I don't know, man. It also depends on which game State wins. Like if you were to go back, or let's open that up one more time. If you were to somehow say that Mississippi State lost, or pardon me, won, which SEC game? If you're winning 4 games, I would assume you're winning Southern Miss, Alcorn State, and Northern Illinois. So who's the SEC game that you win? Do you win on the road at Arkansas? That's neat. You win a road game. You beating Ole Miss, they're in the Egg Bowl. Like that's 4-8, but you win the Egg Bowl. Like, okay, you got some momentum. But what if? I mean, I don't know. If you just win these first 4 games and then you lose the rest of your SEC games, I don't even know if that's enough to keep. If Jeff Lebby sticks around for that. So it's a tough thing to kind of figure out and kind of balance. Okay, well, what's true and what's not? I think 4-8 is probably pretty realistic. 5-7, I think, would be a really, really good position to go into next season. But you also got to remember, like, as hard as this schedule is, State's flipped almost this entire roster, 60 new players here over the last little bit. And so that's what you needed. If you remember correctly, Arizona State and under Kenny Dillingham completely flipped their schedule, not this past offseason, but the offseason before, with over 50 new players through the portal, through high school ranks, and they got to the college football playoff. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to State, but I'm saying you need that type of just complete flip, because that way you don't have anybody remembering what it was like to lose those close games. You don't have anybody remembering what it's like to be part of a team that's kind of got a losing culture. You're bringing in people from guys from other parts of the country and other people trying to prove themselves. Like, look, here's the deal. Davon Booth knows he's not supposed to have another season. He got it granted. I bet he's going to take advantage of it. Fluff Bothwell, which, by the way, I wanted to ask Jeff Lebby a question so bad about Fluff Bothwell. I wanted to ask him a question because here's the deal. Jeff Lebby is all business when he's answering questions. And I think Mississippi State fans kind of got a little I think State fans, got a little bit spoiled with Mike Leach, because even if you lost a game, you got some sort of fun quote. I've never laughed harder than whenever after Alabama, him talking about dinosaurs and how the players were going to evolve over time to not have hands because they didn't use them. Like that's hilarious. But Jeff Lebby is so cookie cutter coach speak that it's almost like, okay, would you please give me something fun? And so I wanted to ask him a question about fun names on the team. I mean, State's got a player named Stonka, a player named Fluff, a player named Red. And I wanted to, ask him something along the line. Is there a name that doesn't get talked about or something of that nature? Cromenhawk is a pretty phenomenal last name. But anyway, I chickened out, did not ask him that question. But I'm gonna find a way to somehow, sometime this season, to get a question from Lebby where he laughs or something. I got to work on it. I'll work on my routine in the meantime. But anyway, like Fluff Bothwell, he wants to prove himself. He's been at South Alabama. He wants to prove he belongs here. He can excel. Like, look, honestly, he might earn a bigger payday if he does really well at Mississippi State, or he might even end up having draft buzz going into next year. Like, I don't know, or upgrade his pay at State going into next year. I have no clue. But these guys want to prove themselves, and they're a part of a brand new system. Several NIU players from last season are here on this team. Brennan Thompson, by the way, really like remarkable, like grown adult. He's married. Love the way he carried himself. And Jeff Levy even mentioned, like he was a guy that was open a lot last season, and they just didn't get him the ball, and that he's going to have some opportunities here this season to do some good things. So anyway, I think that truth it lies somewhere in the middle between the extreme and the lower part. Like State's going to have a chance to be able to go 4-8, 5-7. But it's funny, after SEC Media Days, I found myself being like, gosh, I'm so ready for football, and we still have like 5.5 weeks or so left to go, and so it's rough. 43 days, I think 44 days. So it's kind of rough. It's like, man, I'm ready to just get it going and start the season. I think that would. But now we got this little lull. We're waiting, and there's just going to be a bunch of nonsense as we go forward. But on this show, there's no nonsense, and we'll continue to preview each opponent by interviewing a beat writer of that team. I believe the next team we had Tennessee last week, so it'll be A&M next week. Pretty excited about that, and then Florida the week after that. So we're going to take a quick break. Here's some messages from MPW Digital. When we come back, we're going to look at the SEC preseason media poll, and we'll share the screen again. We'll go over what the media voted. So make sure you come back after these quick messages from Neil and MPW Digital. You're listening to MyDawgsPod on MPW Digital, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue.
All MPW Digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital. We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit EasyHempCo.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly.
And we're going to take a look. I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm sorry about the camera angles today. We're going with kind of a different method. So there we go. All right. So as we share the screen here and kind of look at what we're looking at, the predicted order of finish is Texas number 1. Mississippi State is all the way at the bottom. And Ole Miss is there. I think, what are they, 7th? Yeah, picked 7th to finish in the SEC, which is probably right. I'll say this, though. I did not vote Mississippi State dead last. I don't think State's going to be the worst team in the conference this season. I actually think it's going to be Kentucky. I had Kentucky last because Kentucky was not good last season, and they didn't really switch things up. Now, Dante Dowdle is a guy that I really think State wanted. And they also got some wide receivers that I also thought, man, like, why are you going to Kentucky? But only because of Kentucky's kind of style. But I picked Kentucky to finish last in the SEC. I actually picked Mississippi State to finish second to last, so I didn't really help a number here. But obviously that could change. Looking here at the SEC All first team, you will not find a Mississippi State player on that team. I voted Garrett Nussmeier to be number 1 and Sellers 2, but that's, I mean, it's neither here nor there, obviously. Ryan Williams being number 1 wide receiver, not a big surprise. I will say, I'll go back up here. I did not pick Texas to finish first. I did not pick Georgia. Did not pick Alabama. I picked LSU. LSU's returning some really good players. Obviously, they got Garrett Nussmeier, Caden Durham, Aaron Anderson, and also the player no one's talking about is Barryon Brown, the former Kentucky wide receiver. Like, with Garrett Nussmeier throwing him the ball, are you insane? They're going to be great. And then all of a sudden, Whit Weeks obviously coming back for LSU. Harold Perkins is coming back. Like, LSU's not being talked about enough to me. So again, you're not going to see the first time you're going to see Mississippi State players Isaac Smith on the third team. And I saw that at first and I was like, you got to be joking, man. How is he not hired? But like, who are you going to replace him with? Like, is he better than KJ Bolden? Is he better than Damani Jackson? I don't know. I'm it's fine. I'll tell you this, Isaac probably does not care at all. He's just happy to be able to be playing. Xavier Thomas, former Mississippi State guy, they're on the third team for the specialists. Overall, there's not a ton of surprise to me when it comes to who the media voted for. And it is what it is. State fans have got to kind of come to grips. This is, at this moment, who this team is. There's not a player on offense that's coming back that's there. And I saw some people also mentioning that it was, almost ridiculous. There was no Davon Booth mention on the first, second, or third team. But who's he going in front of? Are you putting him in front of Le'Veon Moss from A&M? No way. Quintravion Wisner from Texas? No way. Caden Durham from LSU? Not a chance. Now, I guess you could argue between him and Nate Frazier from Georgia on the third team. Like, that's fine. But him over Jam Miller? I don't know, man. I don't know. So Kevin Coleman did earn third team All SEC, which is kind of a dig at Mississippi State. But that's okay. So let me know, if today, let me know in the comments where you would place Mississippi State in terms of the worst case scenario. We did best case scenario last week. If you didn't see that show, go back and check it out. But if you want to tell me in the comments, what's your best case scenario? What's your worst case scenario for Mississippi State? I would love to know. As always, man, we thank you guys so much for listening. Hey, have a great weekend. Have fun. Go grill something. Use some Heath Riles barbecue seasoning, man. If you want to impress some folks, that's the way to go. Next week, we will look at a preview of Texas A&M. We're very excited. Thank you guys, as always, so much for listening. You have watched MyDawgsPod on MPW Digital, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue. We'll holler at you next time.